James O'Hara. Now, James, I guess you still played from an early age, but tell me when you first remember encountering music, and then when you first remember encountering the blues.
Well, I'm turning 50, so I'm born in 1970. So uncles and aunties, rock and roll, stuff, Johnny Cash. First time I got into blues was about age 15, really. I bought my first guitar, which is there, and I bought it because it looked like B.B. King's, basically. And that got me into it.
And when did you start playing seriously? Give us your background, tell us the story.
Well, I'm from Yorkshire, but when I fell away through my teens, I actually got raised in Merseyside, so within a year of getting that guitar, I would play in Liverpool nightclubs, underage and that kind of thing. But then, mid-80s, there was kind of blues revival, and I remember being quite inspired by King Pleasure, actually.
Wow, as recently as that? Okay.
85.
Yeah, okay. So when you played in public, what sort of music were you playing and what sort of band were you in?
Kind of swingy type, based on that R&B style that KP covered, but without the brass section, just a little 4-piece double bass, piano, and that's the band that turned into the Detonators.
Right. Who was on piano?
Justin Randall.
And Justin Randall is now?
In Tipatina.
Yeah, who's a regular here, so there's a nice connection there. What were they called? What were your first band called? It's usually an embarrassing question then.
It is. The Dutch Ovens. I don't know if anybody knows what a Dutch oven is, but Google it.
I don't think I'll ask you why. So from Dutch Ovens you went into the Detonators, and tell us the story of the Detonators. Where were you working as in Liverpool at the time?
No, I met them lot at Preston. They were based in Preston, I think Justin's still up in Leyland, I think.
Yeah.
And it just kind of snowballed. We were all really up for it, one of them like, let's say, we'll buy a van and let's do it properly. And eventually we ended up doing a load of work for you from the mid-90s to, I'll say, maybe in 2002, that era.
Yeah. What was a band with a good reputation, the Detonators? A good safe bet.
We did deserve it, really.
Well, I think you did.
For off-field antics.
Well, that could be interesting. Let's divert then slightly to your off-field antics.
Well, I've got a kind of love affair with Birmingham since that era, even to a point where I came down last summer and had a little holiday here. Can you believe that I had an holiday in Birmingham? I've looked up some old friends like Scratch and Dean Beresford and Pete Williams. We went out for a drink and he was a right good dude.
Yeah. Dean's looking good these days. Dean is better known as Bam Bam Beresford, drummer of King Pleasure and Whiskey Boys, and Scratch is king of King Pleasure and Whiskey Boys.
Well, he'll always do it. He won't give up. But there's a role model for how to tour a band, and even they do it all really. Paul, who's on Tonight, he still plays saxophone for King Pleasure. On Depths, Paul's in Roy Wood's band with Roy Adams. There's all sorts of connections going back between us and Birmingham musicians. I remember people who you mentioned in your book. I mean, Mike Burney, Roger Hill, Steve Gibbons, he's still doing it.
Steve Gibbons goes up here one night in 4, and it's hard to persuade him not to go on stage. Not that I would ever try, but he's great. He's Mr. Rock and Roll, Steve. Good man.
So I've got nice memories of Birmingham, Broad Street, all that when it were all new, all your canals, your Venice of England thing. Been good. Birmingham's been good to me.
It's funny how Birmingham Broad Street has changed, because when Ronnie Scott's first opened in 1991, it was barren. There's the pub there called the Press House. They just built the James Brindley, and the rest were just empty car showrooms and knocked down and ready to be turned into a haven for bars and bar flyers. So when did you come to Birmingham first? What year? Mid-80s?
No, about 94, I should say, that kind of it.
So Broad Street was rocking by then.
Definitely. Since that, I mean, we couldn't sustain it, so I contented myself with doing it part-time. But I've done that. Made lots of trips to Chicago and met a lot of legends that I had albums for when I was 15. Some of them faces up there, so you know, that was not just an experience, it's a complete education really. And finding out sometimes that you've been doing a lot wrong.
So tell me,
In a humorous way.
tell me about Chicago.
They're like a family, they're like a saga. You never realise that probably 25% of the audience are musicians supporting musicians. And they do that, they're really proud of it. But there are tourist traps. You've got to look for it, and you find yourself in some compromising situations sometimes.
So which club did you go to? Teresa's?
You know, that were closed, well closed by the time I got there. Never got to go to the checkerboard either, but there's one out in the northwest suburb, Rosa's Lounge. There used to be one 90 odd blocks south called Artisans Lounge and Lee's Unleaded Lounge. And when I first went there, the taxi driver dropped me off and said, "Will you come back for me at 1 o'clock?" And he just said, "No, and you'll get shot." What do you do about that?
So you're here, you know, never to trust a taxi driver.
Yeah, and if it's in Chicago, you play it right, or you're wrong.
So do you hear Buddy Guy? Do you hear Dawkins? Do you hear Summer?
I ended up sitting in on a Buddy Guy rehearsal for what were going to be his new album in his Club Legends, and I've got a great picture of him and me at the doorway, sort of smiling. It looks like we're laughing and joking, but he's asking me what the fuck I'm doing in there. Get out.
So did you hear anyone who do you remember listening to who impressed you?
Billy Branch, Tail Dragger, Jimmy Burns. Actually, one of Woody's sons, Larry Morganfield, is our rating. Of course, Larry Bell. And they're kind enough to let me up, and once you pick up and you go back again, and they do remember you.
Great. I think throughout our time in Chicago, they were very welcoming. If they knew you knew about the blues, you were very welcome.
I think so. It's a mutual respect that goes back to the Stones, I think, and their beeline for chess records, and would chess have been chess without the Stones? I don't know.
Well, that's what gave Rolling Stones the name, was Muddy Waters. So did you go to 2024 South Michigan, the recording studio?
I did, yeah. And I played in there with Phil Guy.
It's nice. Tell us about that.
Well, I got to see Phil Guy, who was Buddy's little brother. He'd invited me up and he said, "By the way, this was..." No, I just turned up and he just let me on. And then that night he said, "Come to Legends, I'm playing there and we'll do it again."
Great.
So you just, if they like you, they like you.
So here's $1 million question. What on earth persuaded you to leave Chicago?
Mum's Yorkshire puddings. And fear of guns.
Let's go back to your record collection. What's the first record you ever bought?
I think about buying about 6 Shawaddy Waddy. Sorry.
Don't be sorry when you're that age.
Still B.B. King, it's still blues based really. That's never really gone away. But I were always into the even older stuff than B.B. as well, so I've got a lot of Tampa Red records, Big Bill records, obviously lots of Muddy, the Chicago headliners, all that stuff. And Paul told me a little anecdote that he'd heard from a friend of his who lives in Leeds. His friend of his who lived in Leeds had gone into a charity shop And apparently a job lot of obviously someone who died had a load of blues CDs and all these big names, no crap, no peripheral stuff, and mine were in there. And that is longevity.
So, why did the Detonators break up or die down? Was it because you went to Chicago?
It's because, well, I could say musical differences, but that's just a lie. It broke down under just, it had its thing and we couldn't take it any further. We were trying to get into Europe and it never really happened for us. And so it just kind of dissipated really.
So what about your recording career?
Well, I did one with them and the Detonators were signed to Indigo Records, which was a subsidiary of Trojan. So we were really lucky to get that shot. But when I just can't listen to that anymore. I couldn't then really, it was just a rushed thing, so I'm not too proud of that one. But I did one a couple of years ago with all original material on it, which I'm very proud of. Unfortunately, I hadn't enough funds to buy a new batch, so I haven't brought any. Now, but if you send me an email, I'll send you a direct link to that for free.
Well, to pick up on that, we collect email addresses, as you know, every night. So anyone wants to give us an email address, I'll make sure it's passed on to James. And what we do with your addresses is we send you a free copy of, email copy of the monthly Henry's Blues News, which is more than just a list of what plays here. It's got interviews with blues legends, and it's got contributors as far afield as Chicago and Australia and New York. So it's quite worth a read, I think. Now going back to your first record, your Indigo record, do you remember who produced that?
I do. A very close friend of Tim Franks over there, Norman Beaker produced that.
Oh, no one's a good old surviving name.
He's a lifetime achiever now, he's in the Blues Hall of Fame, Norman.
Is he?
Yeah.
Right. So he should be. That's good.
And luckily tonight we've got his mainstay drummer there, Tim Franks, with us.
Oh. So you've only really recorded twice?
Other than what we used to call demo tapes,
Yeah.
and I've got loads of them, but as far as official, there have been albums in between that I've tried to keep ticking over, but none like what I did just last, which is, as I say, all original. And
Have you thought about digitising your own demos and compiling them into an album?
that's a good idea. I think I will.
Not now, do it a bit later.
Yeah, I'll do it when I get home.
Right, we're talking to James O'Hara, the former Detonator, now James O'Hara band member. Any questions, please? Normally, Chico's right at the front of the queue.
I must have answered everything so thoroughly, thank you.
What's your favourite guitar that you play? You say you've got your original.
Well, obviously I've bought a lot of others since then,
Yeah.
but it's just always go back to that.
Yeah.
There's-
You still buying guitars? I am.
No, I'm not, I'm trying to sell them.
See you later.
But that, yeah, you know when you're looking for something and it's already there, and you just waste money and money looking for something else that you've already got. That's what I think we'd all do.
That's for Chris. Anyway, your question.
Yeah, just a quick one, Jack. Of all the gigs you've played, is the one that's given you the most satisfaction maybe playing with someone or at the end of it and you thought, wow, that was really great?
Yeah, the ones in Chicago that I actually funded. I didn't get paid for them, but just getting up with people who have been in my record collection and walking away without being told that you don't come back, so to speak. That's a great achievement, I think, for me. It's a bit like playing at Wembley, I suppose, if you're a footballer, and to come away with a good result.
Well, as a Hales End Town fan, having been to Wembley 3 times, I've won twice. I know exactly what you mean. I think that's about it. No more. Right, in about 20 minutes, the band's going to get on stage. In the meantime, Tim, would you mind asking that young man behind the bar put some music on, please? James O'Hara.